Good morning. My name is Rev Kylie Renner, and on behalf of the entire One Spiritual Center community, I just welcome you here today. Thank you for finding us again this morning in our new location. We're so thrilled to be here at the Outpost. And I'm grateful for David, who is sitting in for Chad today, getting us all set up with sound. Thank you for being so flexible this morning. So I had something interesting happen this week, which is that with all of these changes and transformation happening in places in my life, one of the most major places is a place I spend a lot of time, which is my kitchen. And so I have had for the last over 2 years a very, very small kitchen. We had ripped out part of it because it was completely unfunctional, but nothing had replaced it yet. And in order to get to the next phase, we needed to knock down walls and do all kinds of amazing things. So all of that finally got to a place this week where all of a sudden I have more than one drawer in my kitchen. Like I had 2 drawers, to be honest, but they were this big and nothing fit in them. And so for 2 years, and if you follow what I do in the world, I cook a lot. I am a foodie and I cook a lot. And so these little teeny drawers weren't very useful. So now I have drawers and they're amazing. And it's like transforming my world. But what's really funny is these drawers and these pull-out things actually are in an island, and now my trash is no longer where it was. And I cannot tell you how many times I've thrown trash on the floor or tried to put my silverware away in the wrong place because it's been on the counter for the last 2 years. And I just think about that in terms of the transformation that I know is happening in all of our lives. It's like how do we adjust to those periods where the change has happened? The change has happened. And how do we get used to bringing ourselves present to that? How can we be gentle in that time? So that's what I talked about a little bit last week, but I'm really living into it this week in the sense of how do we be with what's right in front of us? And so I'm just grateful for all of the chances for awareness of just like, no, that's not where the trash goes anymore. That's not where life is anymore. How do I want to be? What can I bring? And I am so grateful for drawers. Just to tell you, I've never been so grateful for 5 drawers in my entire life. So we're going to just open into that gratitude this morning. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, we're just going to breathe into the beauty of this day. Just gratitude for this opportunity to show up with everything that's going on and all of the world, just this opportunity to bring ourselves present to our transformation. Allowing for whatever needs to shift for us to become present to where things live in us now. We become present to where love lives in us right here. Where peace lives in us. Where freedom lives right here and now. And as we open to this and make ourselves available to what it feels like to be right here, right now, we recognize fully the presence of Spirit guiding us, loving us, directing us, and showing the way into even deeper transformation. And so I just know that we are in the right place this morning. And that right in front of us, right here, is everything that we need for the deepest, most powerful creation possible. And so we let Spirit create through us, and we let it be. And so it is.
be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. I want to be like water, head uphill, no more I am bound for the sea. I want to be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, heading from pool to stream. I want to be like water, head uphill, no more I am bound for the sea. I want to be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. I want to be like water, head uphill, no more I am bound for the sea.
To prepare for meditation this morning, I have chosen a poem entitled Bliss. What if you remembered? What if you remembered, felt it, breathed it, cried it out in your throbbing, unwinding cells? What if you remembered that bliss is a sacrament? Then would you love others with an unfastened heart softened by wear? Then would you love the earth mother when everyone was watching? Would you kiss that grassy, wormy ground, lick your lips clean like an act of contrition? Remember this, bliss is not a luxury. Bliss unfurls on an embodied path strewn with sacrifice, damp with prayer, encountered by way of a daily conversation with the sacred, kissing openly by radical trust in the unknown. Bliss is a revolutionary act. When you remember that bliss is a sacrament, that sweaty, embodied moves would it take to unhinge and fling wide that glistening heart of yours? What if you let yourself be taken by self-love, vulnerable enough to unleash the ravishing of you, body and soul? What if you knew that this ravishing is a means, a golden doorway to an unending initiatory right to love and serve others and this heaving earth? What if you knew? What if you knew that everything depends on your courage to remember to say, "Hello, beauty. How may I serve you?" Remember, you are here to make art of your living, make love with this life, and make it beautiful. And so we take that energy, and we're going to allow the meditation. I forgot he's over there again. The amazing John Bartlett has a meditation for us, so we just let that bliss move us.
Our special music this morning. Look, she's right there. Patty Littlefield is here. Patty.
Y'all looking mighty fine today. It's gonna be a hot day. 110 in the shade. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. No one, nothing stays the same. The young become the old, and the mysteries do unfold. For that's the way of time. Nothing, no one stays the same. There are not many things in this life we are not sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly, winter turns to spring, and wounded hearts must heal, but never much too soon. Everything must change. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. For that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life we can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. lights up the sky. Hummingbirds do fly, except rain comes from the clouds. Sun lights up the sky. Hummingbirds do fly, except rain comes from the sky. Sun lights up the sky. And music makes me cry.
That's Patty Littlefield.
Thank you.
I'm going to do the Trade You Places dance. There we go. Thank you, Patty. That was lovely. Or do I need to be Kristen? Right where the microphone is that I'm not using? Okay. See if I can hit it with my hands. I'm guessing I can. So this week, one of my teachers, a supporter of this community, one of our online watchers, passed away. And I've been reflecting about what she taught me and what I learned from her beingness, because she had this annoying way of knowing more about what was going to happen in the world before it happened. So she knew when I was in ministerial school that I was going to end up back in New Mexico. I was in California at the time. She knew that I was going to end up creating my own work, that it wasn't going to work for me to stay in the organization. She knew all of these things, from small things to big things, and I really am going to miss her guidance, because she reached out to me recently to let me know a little bit about what was going on with her, and I had a conversation with her about the experience she was having with breast cancer and the ways she was approaching it from a spiritual perspective. And one of the things that I realized I learned from her is this reflection that everything in our lives is somehow an answered prayer, even if we don't understand how breast cancer is an answered prayer. And when I was sitting with that with her and with my own feelings about how can I live into that sense of everything in my life being an answered prayer, I came back to something one of my other teachers had taught me a long time ago, which is this sense that he said that what we do in our spiritual world and in our spiritual life is that our job is to ask for what we want, which is basically we pray, we ask the universe for what we want, but then we take what shows up. So how he said it is, you ask for what you want and then you take what you get. And I've been interested in how we take what we get, like how my teacher took what was in front of her, how she took what she got, and how she used that. And how can we do that in a powerful way in our lives? Because there are things that happen that aren't what we prayed for, or don't look like what we prayed for. They aren't what we think should be happening. And I have this deep sense and this deep understanding coming from these teachers in my life that just because it doesn't look like what I prayed for, it doesn't mean that it isn't. Just because it doesn't feel like it, just because it doesn't fit into my idea, it does not mean that it is actually not exactly what I prayed for in some way, that something there isn't giving me exactly what I need if I'm willing to receive it. And so this is really hard, and I'm certain that there are things going on in your life that some of you may be saying in your back of your head, F you, Kylie, that's the worst thing you could say. But I'm going to ask you to take a little bit of gentleness around that just for a minute, because I think that there's something really interesting if we're willing to step back and look at how is it that I'm willing to ask for what I want, and recognize that sometimes that does show up the way I think it should, but then that all the time it's showing up. It's not just working some of the time. This relationship we have with the universe doesn't work just some of the time, and doesn't just work when it's looking like how I think it should. That's not the way that the universe and spirit works. And so how can we open to this idea that everything is answered prayer? So one of the conversations that is constantly happening in my household is this idea that if prayer always works and whatever we need is right in front of us, how is this that is right in front of me exactly what I need? How is this that it is happening in the world? How is this that feels like the next challenge or the next opportunity? How is this exactly what it is that I know that I want or I desire? How is this opening in me? And the recognition that the fact that what's right in front of us is constrained in some way is actually helpful. So this is the way we talk about it in my house. And of course, it has to do with construction. Okay, so here we go. So this idea is like, how is it that whatever it is I want, like this new kitchen or these new drawers or this new idea, how does that fit when I recognize that I'm constrained by what has come before? There are constraints like that wall can't completely come down. That thing that got rearranged can't change completely. That space can't get bigger or smaller. And how do I work with what's right in front of me to make something more beautiful than I could have had I had just this clean slate? And it's this really interesting interaction with the universe that says, I can see that this vision is unfolding, and there are these constraints. There are things that are standing in the way. There are load-bearing walls that cannot be removed. But how can I move that wall in a way that makes it open and flow and work and create beauty instead of railing against it as something I wish could change? So I know that this might not make a lot of sense to someone who isn't in construction mode all the time, but I recognize that if we're open to the kind of creative energy that wants to move in our lives, that there's all kinds of places in our life where we're railing against what's showed up, right? We're fighting it. We're saying it needs to be different. We need to pray it away. We need to make it change. We need these constraints on it to be removed. And what if the constraints were actually creating the beauty? What if the constraints were actually calling forward a level of creativity that wouldn't have shown up if we hadn't had those constraints on us? And so I think sometimes we think that as spiritual beings that what we want is this realm of infinite possibility. We want to just have all of these choices. But I don't know about you. I get freaked out in front of the peanut butter aisle at the grocery store, right? Like if that many choices can make me give me paralysis, maybe the infinite in us actually wants us to be working with what's in front of us, not with this idea that if we only had one other option or some other thing. So we were talking about this week on one of our walks, because I was deep in this idea of like, how do we use what's in front of us with this certain project we're looking at and actually make it more beautiful than if we had just had a clean slate? Like, how do we use what's right there to do that? And one of the things that kept coming up was this idea, like that you have to be willing to be powerfully present to what's in front of you without fighting it. And if you don't fight it, that the solution or the idea can unravel itself in front of us. So there's a story about a man who was falsely identified as a criminal, and he was put in prison. And his friend visited him in prison and gave him a prayer rug. And the prisoner was angry, and he went back to his cell, and because he had hoped that his friend was going to bring him a hacksaw or a knife or something to help him get free from this prison, and all he had been given was a rug. But since he had it, since it was right in front of him because it was what he had, he figured he might as well use it, and he started to bow to this rug and pray. And each day he became more and more familiar with the patterns that had been woven in it. And he started to see an interesting image there, and it was a diagram of the lock that would allow him to open the cell and escape. And so this story has a lot of different levels to it, but one of the parts of it that I find so powerful is this idea that if we work with what's in front of us, that right there woven into the very nature of the moment is the diagram for the lock that's going to set us free. It's like right there. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't need some other tool. We don't need some other hacksaw or knife or something that is the tool we think we need. Actually, if we are working with what's in front of us, there is a freedom and a power and a creative energy that we leave untapped because we as humans and as a culture have determined that what we need is just some next tool or some next prayer answered or some other thing to happen in order for us to be free, instead of saying what's right in front of me is here to set me free. It's not meant to constrain me. It is answered prayer, and it is intended to set me free on a level that I maybe couldn't have seen for myself in the first place. And so I keep thinking about these constraints, because sometimes the constraints that are placed upon us on the possibilities feel like they're really not the ones we want. And how do we maneuver in that? So there was an electrician who was performing some work at a church office, and there were 3 preachers in the office who were arguing about the subject of prayer. And as he worked, he overheard them speaking about the proper way to pray. What is the proper for the most effective prayer? And one of the clergymen said, I believe that kneeling is the best posture for prayer. That gets you the best results. And the second disagreed and said, no, I found that standing upright with my arms and hands stretched to the heavens is the best posture to assume for prayer, for it to be the most effective. And then the third minister took issue and said, I think you're both incredibly wrong. I feel that my prayers are getting through the best when I lie prostrate on the floor. And at this poll, like maybe we are doing that in our lives, and how do we let that which is right in front of us guide us into some other creative power that's in us? And can we do that all the time without necessarily being hanging from an electrical pole? And I think the answer to this is right. If we are willing to realize that whatever we are putting out into the universe, whatever that prayer is, isn't intended to change spirit, isn't intended to change the universe. It is intended to change us. It is intended to allow us to see what possibility was there that we couldn't see before. And it wasn't that it wasn't there, right? That beautiful solution was always there in that rug. The prayer allows us to see it. It changes us. And so when we're dealing with things in the world, especially the things that feel challenging, I'm inviting us into this sense of recognizing, so if this is answered prayer, if this is actually an answer, not something that needs to be overcome or pushed aside, if this is actually answered prayer, what is it? How can I work with this? How can I use what's right in front of me to allow for a more beautiful and creative prayer to come forward, one that recognizes what's real and what's in front of me and uses it instead of fights it? And I just know that this practice can allow for us to open to a deeper sense of freedom, but also a really powerful place of gratitude, because all of a sudden we're going to start to see that whatever we prayed for is right in front of us. So if we prayed for a solution to something, that whatever that is right in front of us. It's right there. And all we are called to do is see it. All we are called to do is open to it. We don't need to change it. So I know in my own life that there's opportunities for this to happen in really powerful ways, and to claim a different sense of how I'm relating to the world. And I feel so often we relate to the world as wanting to pray for that next thing to come in the way we want it to. And instead of that, opening to the idea that my prayer is a prayer that opens to whatever it is that's in front of me, moving me to a place of creativity and connection and freedom that creates things that I could never have imagined before, that I couldn't have even thought up if I hadn't had what was in front of me in the first place. So we've been laughing about wishing that we had unlimited budget in my house to do whatever it is we wanted to do. And we've been laughing about it because we both, my husband and I, realized we actually don't want that. Like that the budget and the constraint of that actually allows us to be more creative than we would have been otherwise, to use and reuse things that we wouldn't have thought to reuse, to drive up to Santa Fe in our really beat up old truck without air conditioning in the middle of summer to take a 20-foot conference table down 3 ropes of stairs to strap it on the back of the truck. It was really, really funny. That thing, I'm still not sure how we got it down the stairs, but now we're reusing all of these pieces of this solid oak conference table to create things that we never would have created had we not had the constraints and the opportunity and the vision to say, I can use that to create something here that will be more beautiful than I could have if I went down to the hardware store or the lumber store and bought all of these things new. And there's something about that, like really honoring the constraints in our lives, like really honoring maybe your hip hurts or your whatever it is, and really honoring how that is actually a gift, allowing you to create more beauty in your life in some way maybe that you haven't recognized before. So I'm just going to invite you into that practice with me of seeing maybe what we can ask for what we want, but then really taking what we get, like taking what we get, not like pushing what we get aside or railing against it or wishing it away, but like taking what we get and using it. And seeing what shows up because of that. So I'm going to ask the band to come join me as we anchor this in prayer. So I completely understand that I have asked us to do something really challenging today, and so if you're pissed off at me, I understand. And I'm more than willing to talk to you about it and walk with you through this, because that's what my teachers have done throughout time, being willing to let me get pissed off at them and then walk through it. So whatever it is that's on your heart today, I'm going to ask you to invite in this idea that it is answered prayer, whatever that is. And we're going to let Spirit move us. So please join me as we sing into our prayer.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high, heals us, sustains us, and sets us.
And so our prayer of love is a prayer of recognizing answered prayer, of recognizing that right in front of us is absolutely everything that we need. That the key to our freedom is woven into the very fabric of our beingness, and that it is laid itself out in front of us in everything that is showing up in big and small ways in every direction. And so we just open to allowing for that which is showing up to guide us in how it is that we can be open to really taking what is showing up and using it in the way that it is intended. And so we take everything that we have been given, everything we are, everything that we are becoming, and we ask for Spirit to use us and to make us aware of how to use it so that we may be creative and powerful in ways that are beyond our imaginations, so that we may heal the very core of whatever it is that needs to be healed, so that transformation can take place not only in ourselves but in life itself. And that transformation goes in every direction. And so our prayer of recognizing answered prayers, that recognizing that your prayer is my prayer and my prayer is your prayer, and there is only one prayer. And answered prayer is happening everywhere all the time. And whatever it is that we are looking for is right in front of us. It was there the whole time. And the prayer changed our eyes so that we can see it. And so we open to allowing that to truly move us. Move us into our creative power, move us past the small and little incremental changes we would have made had what is in front of us not allowed for some other kind of energy to move in us. And so we take what's right here. We are grateful for it as answered prayer, and we let it guide us more deeply. And how sweet that is to just lean into that. And so I let go. And I let it be. And so it is.
Our prayer of love, it lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love, it lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us. Once again, Patty Littlefield. And I'd like to let you guys know that Patty's doing a concert on Tuesday night at the Cosmos, right? And Milo and I will be playing, and I believe Arlen Asher is going to be there. It's a New Mexico Jazz Workshop, Tuesday night at the Cosmos this week, this 27th of this week. Yes. Oh, and we're going to play something, right? There's that.
I'm nervous.
I can't go on.
I get to play with Sid and Milo. Oh my gosh.
Get that for you.
Today I'm like the White Queen in Alice in Wonderland. Everything's spilling and falling, and but what the hey? It's so very clear our love is here to stay, not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancy, and in time they'll go. Oh, but oh, my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble, It's so very clear. Our love is here to stay. Not for a year, not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancy, and in time they'll go. But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long way. In time the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble. They're only made of clay, but our love is here. Oh, 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 our love is here. Our love is here. Oh, our love is here to stay. Thank you.
It's Patty Littlefield.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patty. We'll see you Tuesday. So now's the time where we move into the sharing of our tithes and offerings. I invite you to take whatever it is you brought to share with this community and hold it over your heart. And I invite you to give it a silent blessing, whatever that might be for you today. Maybe there is something that you've been pushing away that you're willing to see as answered prayer and to work with it instead of against it. Or maybe there's some creative energy that is asking for you to open to how you might use what is in front of you to create something in yourself that allows for more freedom and more ease and more grace than you ever expected possible. Whatever that is for you today, I just invite you to feel it, to open to it. And I invite you to sing with me as our ushers come through the aisles.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out a warning, I'd hammer out a love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I got a hammer,
all of the energy that has been shared in this space, all that has been offered into this community today, and we let it expand in us. We let that blessing overflow. We let that prayer be answered. We let ourselves recognize in gratitude that everything that we're looking for is right in front of us. It's right here. And as we let ourselves go into that, I just recognize the beauty and the creativity of Spirit moving through our lives in ways that are more amazing than we could have ever imagined. I just trust in that and I let it be. And so it is. So I have a couple of gratitudes. One is gratitude for everyone who showed up yesterday to work at Roadrunner Food Bank. So I have to tell you that I, in my life, could never have conceptualized what an entire semi-load full of pears would look like. An entire semi-load. But they had been donated, and we yesterday were able to help feed 20,000 people by sorting these pears. And so, and I have a bigger conception now of what lots of pears looks like, which is apparently something that needed to happen. So, and the color, so there were green ones and red ones, and the colors of that many in these big containers was just amazing. So all of those will be distributed. And please join those who were with us yesterday in just sending it off with prayer, sending off these to those who are hungry in our community. So grateful for that opportunity. And I'm also just want to express another deep gratitude for University Heights Methodist Church and Reverend Janet over there, because I am so incredibly grateful to not have all of the stuff that we bring out here in my house anymore. It changed my world. So I've had lots of life-changing things recently, but that was one of them. And so I am incredibly grateful for that and their support of us. And I'm looking forward to deeper partnership with them. So one of the things I have heard, and I will get you guys more details, but we've been invited. They have a potluck every fifth Sunday, and I think it would be lovely for us to join them in community. So please keep that on your radar, and I will be giving more information about that. So let's see. So next month we are back at Cooking for Community of Hope on the third Saturday, and then the fourth Saturday we will be at Roadrunner Food Bank, we enjoy anyone who wants to join us for any of those opportunities. And I am grateful that you found us, and I'm grateful for this space, and thank you for being here, and I'm going to shut up. Sid agrees.
One love. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord, and we can feel alright. People get ready, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith, hear that diesel humming. Don't need no tickets, you just thank the Lord. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord, and we can feel alright. People get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors rocking